It seems like low self-esteem, low self-worth, not trusting ourselves is a really big thing in our society today. Many, many people confess to this. And I have a history of not really trusting myself as well and having low self-esteem as well. But at one point I realized that it's an impossibility to not trust myself. It's an impossibility, it's an illusion, it's a contradiction that really I cannot not trust myself. And you can't really not trust yourself. It's impossible. And let me explain you why I see it that way. Because when we are looking outside ourselves for guidance, when we are listening to other people, when we are following gurus or spiritual teachers or business teachers or whomever it is that we are listening to and allowing to guide us, who makes the choice of whom to listen to and whom not to listen to? You do. I do in my life. You do in your life. So even when we turn to others for inspiration, for teachings, coaching, for learning self-esteem, for learning self-worth, for trusting ourselves, we're already trusting some part of us to know whom to listen to and whom not to listen to. Or else we'd just be running around in a circus, following this person, that person, this person, that person, and completely being all over the place. And in my experience, that's not how it is. We may listen to different people, yes, but it's like we're listening for something, and that something is resonating with us. And that resonance, that is our truth speaking to us. That is us trusting that when I feel that, when I hear that, when I sense that, I can trust that. And the thing is that you don't really need people outside for you to access that trusting within. And you can also think about little children, newborn babies, toddlers. They are not born distrusting themselves. Actually, most babies seem like they are pretty courageous or they're just moving forward. It's got nothing to do with not trusting themselves or trusting themselves. They're just being in the world. And when they see exciting toys, they're moving towards them. When they are seeing people are walking, they want to walk. They want to experiment with getting up and walking as well. And they're moving in this kind of flow. And we could describe it as trusting themselves. But the thought of trusting or not trusting themselves have not even arisen in them. So they're really just moving with that flow within, or from that flow within, and interacting with the world. And in a sense, then trusting that what they want is valid. That if they want that toy, it's valid to go for it. They can trust themselves to go for it. If they want to get up and walk like mom and dad and everybody else around them, that's valid. And they go for it. And we have that inside, all of us. But through childhood, we are sometimes discouraged from listening to that within. Our parents come running, no, 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 when they see something they perceive as dangerous, or just they don't like paint on their walls. They don't want paint on their furniture. And so the inclination of the little child to explore paint is being stopped. And sometimes the emotional engagement from the parents are so overwhelming that the child internalizes that when I do what I want, it seems like mom and dad gets upset. It wasn't a good thing to do. I can't trust myself. I can't trust to move with myself. But really, it can be okay to want to experiment with paint. And maybe, yeah, mom and dad want you to experiment with it on some place other than on the furniture and on the walls. But it's a great thing to want to experiment with paint or with whatever it is. Tossing toy cars. Fun game for a little boy. Not so fun if they hit the windows and they break for the parents, right? So we really can trust that move from within. And there is some ways of learning then how does our environment want us to behave with that. But sometimes, and way too often, we're just shut down as children and told that tossing cars are wrong, or playing with the paint is wrong, or tossing food on the floor is wrong. And basically all that aliveness and all that exuberance that little people bring into the world are being put down, held down, and some kids rebel against it. Other kids internalize it very quickly. And that is really what is hindering us as adults to trust that thing that we're hearing inside, that we've learned that it wasn't okay because we were born with it. We were born into this world with it. And of course, as parents, we want to be able to live with our kids and not just have raving maniacs for kids. But it's really just about how do we meet our kids in that, and how were we met as kids in that. Because you can totally play with paint, and you can totally play with tossing toys, and you can totally throw food and just negotiate. And that's the parents, on the parents' skill side, obviously, to negotiate how and where and when, and to not be so overly aggressive, angry, that the kid is just completely overwhelmed and scared out of it and closing down. But the truth is that we all have that small voice inside still as adults, and all the insecurities only come from the reactions we got when we were kids, and possibly also from the reactions we got when we were teenagers and the reactions we got when we were adults. But it's just two people wanting something different. One person, one small person wanting to play with paint, one big person wanting clean furniture. And then we can definitely find a solution to that. Play with paint somewhere else. And we don't have to make it wrong, or that you shouldn't trust that inclination to play with the paint. And that is what we have to regain and redeem as adults. Listening to that thing within, listening to that voice within, and knowing that when it clinches with other people, it just means we want two different things. I want a quiet work environment. I want to be able to laugh and have fun at work. Okay, how can we make a work environment that works for both of us? How can we have both people respected and have their inner truth respected, their inner voice of what is a good working environment for me? But none of us has really learned this negotiation skills to do that kind of things. It's so often we only end in a discussion of who is right and who's wrong, who should change their ways and who should not change their ways. And we have not been brought up to really negotiate. How do we meet everybody's needs? How do we honor and rejoice in everybody's inner voice finding expression in the world? So coming back to trusting yourself is to really know that you cannot not trust yourself, and you always hear that voice inside. Even when you hear it and somebody else in your environment wants something else, doesn't mean it's wrong what's going on in you, but just that you want something different. And it's really powerful to see this and take the power back in saying, okay, I want. What do you want? Speaking in a personal language, not stereotyping, not calling names, but really just saying, okay, so my reality is I would like this. Your reality seems different because you want something else. So what is your reality? How do we negotiate that? How do we make a solution that we can both find peace with or be okay with? Maybe even enjoy really a lot. And trusting that when we all listen within to that guidance system we have within, that we can make amazing things in this lifetime, that is where creativity is born. That is where solutions to even big environmental problems are born or come forth. That is where we are creative in, okay, just meeting each other respectfully, but not the least meeting ourselves respectfully, and trusting that within, and not making other people's voices, other people's truths, or other people's inside inclinations more important than our own, because we can hear it. We can hear that thing within. And we cannot, in a sense, we cannot not trust it. We can go with it or we cannot go with it. But every time we don't go with it, to some extent, we suffer. And our self-esteem and our self-worth suffers because we said somebody else's truth was more important than our own. And we can live an entire life not listening to ourselves. And some people even have a lot of success with money, with huge houses, great careers, but they never listened within. So even though they got all these things, they're not happy. They're not fulfilled. They're not excited with life. And being excited with life, you might also get some of those results of money, of housing, of that beautiful wife or husband. But then it'll be aligned with you and you'll be true to yourself. And life will be enjoyable, even if you don't get those things, even if you don't get as much as you would have liked financially, for instance. Because we're not getting happy from finances, from our outside circumstances. We really are getting happy from living fulfilled lives. And when we listen to ourselves, we are living fulfilled lives. So no more bullshitting yourself. If you do not trust yourself, you can basically not trust anybody else either. How would you know who to choose to listen to? So the minute you say to yourself, that person over there, I'm going to listen to that person, what that person says makes sense, you're automatically trusting yourself in that moment. So start honoring that and start really listening to yourself, because that is where happiness and self-esteem and really everything we want in life, our creativity, our ability to contribute into the world, it really lies there. And it really starts with you listening to what's true for you and living life accordingly.